Good morning, good afternoon from wherever you're at, or wherever you're watching. Today we're gonna talk about some of the cars I've owned, why I go in and out of cars so often. That's probably the number one question I get is, why do you have a new car every couple months? And we're gonna address why. We're gonna talk about what I bought and sold them for. We might make a couple of people a little upsetty spaghetti on how much I've made off a couple cars, but I've also lost. So we're just gonna talk about it all. I have a couple questions that you guys have asked from my Instagram about what I do and how I do it that we're gonna address as well. But jumping right into it, I have owned 26 cars at the age of 25. I'm 25 years old, and I'm gonna start with the cars that I started to realize, hey, you can actually make money when buying cars. You know, everyone says cars are depreciating assets. You don't buy cars to make money. And that is true. That is genuinely true for 97% of the population. You're gonna buy a car, you're gonna drive it, you're gonna depreciate it, and you're gonna lose money on it. Point blank period. This is kind of just how I do it and how I hack the system a little bit to try to avoid that. And jumping in at car number one, my E90 M3. It was, I believe, Interlagos blue with gray seats. I bought that car, first car I'd ever bought out of state. I was on Facebook Marketplace and I saw it for sale over on the East Coast, and it was about I want to say it was like 32 grand. This is actually the one car I couldn't find any records on what I bought it, what I sold it for, but I have a rough idea. I think I bought that car in between 30 and 32 grand. It might have even been less at the time because this is before E90s and 92s were hot, just on Facebook Marketplace. I was so scared to ship this car across the country. At first, I hated the color combos, blue with gray interior. I hated it, but it was like one of the only cars I could find and it was a good deal. Shipped here, the car was immaculate. I drove it for a little over a year, ended up selling that car for, I think, around 36 grand after a year. That was when the prices of the E90s, E92s were actually raising up. And so I realized, wow, I can actually get out of this car while making money after owning it for a year. Why would I not do that, right? And so I did. And that actually brought me into the next car, which was my 2016 M3. The 2016 M3 was a car that was traded in at the dealership I work at. And I fell in love with that car because obviously I'd come from the E90 M3. The next step would be an F chassis M3. It was mineral white with the Sakar, I think is how you pronounce it, red interior. Was not a comp, was lower miles. I think it was like 40 to 50,000 miles on it, which at the time for me was perfect. And I got that car for $48,500. So at the time, again, like just a crazy good deal. Actually, it might have had like 40,000 miles on it. It had all the carbon accents and performance exhaust. It was really a really good spec. I owned that car for, I think, 7 to 8 months and sold it for like 55 grand. This is when, again, the peak of the F chassis market started to go up. Again, I realized, wow, I owned that car for about a year and can make 6 grand on this. Why would I not sell it? I can move my equity in these cars into my next car, start lower, sell higher. And again, this is not normal. This is just, those two cars, I'm gonna say luck. I bought them at a point where the market was not really appreciating how good of cars those were. And very quickly after, I took advantage of, knowing that people are gonna want those cars and they'll pay a good dime for it, especially with the specs. They were very good specs. I didn't appreciate the E90 spec at first, but once I owned that car for a little bit, I did appreciate it. I was like, oh, okay, this is a good spec, especially for the color. Moving on to car 3, and this is the most controversial car I've owned because everyone's like, why? And it was a 2017 340 xDrive. Why would you go from a 2016 M3 to a 2017 340 xDrive? Most people are like, you needed the money. And it's funny, if you look at my comments, everyone's like, oh, you're broke, you couldn't afford the payment. Sure. No, I wanted to build a race car. I wanted to build a car that was fast. At the time, my roommate was building a 340 that I was just like, dude, it's just, full bolt-on those cars was just as fast as the M3. We wanted to go above full bolt-on, and at the M3 at the time didn't really have the platform to do that. There was no single turbo kits for those. There was one company that made it, and it was like 10 grand. Stupid. So I bought that car. I bought it for, I want to say 37,000. I again tried to find what I actually bought it for. I really don't remember. I think it's right around 37. And I built it. This was the biggest mistake I've made in all of my car buying processes. I would never do this again. I will never do it again. And this, hopefully that someone takes my advice on this in the sense of, do not build a freaking race car unless that is everything your heart has hoped and dreamed of. I lost so much money. We did a built transmission. big Dock Race top mount turbo kit, drag setup, custom paint job, like just went balls out on this car. And I lost a lot of money because of it, a lot of it. I probably invested 20 grand, 25 grand into like building that. And that's probably on the light side. All the mods I did, let's just say 25 grand on top of the 20 or 37 I bought the car for, and ended up selling that car for like 49 grand. You do the math, that was a big loss. That had basically taken my 2 cars before, the profit I earned, and just threw it away. So kind of back to a ground zero at that point. And I don't remember exactly what car I got next. I got to look at my notes here to see. After the 340, oh that's right, after realizing how much money I lost in that car, I needed to get myself just something cheap to get my cash back up. I had bought a 2008 335 daily, total piece of shit. I mean, it was nice, but it was a piece of shit. Those cars are just pieces of shit. I got it for like 10 grand, and actually shortly after I sold, I bought that car like right before I sold the 340. It was like a daily for a little bit. 340 was always getting worked on. But when I sold the 340, then that became the daily, it became my only car, the 335. But I kept that for, I don't know, maybe a short 6 months. Sold it for 10 grand. Didn't lose any money, didn't make any money. This was probably the best purchase I've ever made. And I don't know what car we're on here. We'll say car 4 because the 335 is, I don't have any pictures of that. Car 4 was a 2008 E92 M3. This is my most successful flip. I bought this car off Facebook Marketplace. I'll show you the listing. I found this one in my archives, and it's pretty funny. It's like in a grass field, looks like crap. Just does not look like a car you want to purchase, especially like normally if you see listings with cars in fields. That's something to be weary of because rats and rodents will get into it to stay warm, and you have a lot of electrical issues at that point. But yeah, it was interesting. But I had inquired on it, and I asked some questions, and he said all the maintenance was up to date, and he was open for a PPI, and so I sent it. I sent it over to PPI. Everything checked out perfect with the car, other than cosmetic. If anyone knows me personally, my dad owns a body shop. I'm not really too scared of cosmetic stuff. It doesn't scare me. I can get it done for cheap, and so I ended up buying it. And I bought this E92 M3 with like, I think it was 100,000 on the dot miles for $17,000. Clean title, all the maintenance was up to date, everything. The guy drove 3 hours to me to sell me the car. He literally came to my work to sell it to me. I had bought that, and right away, I was blown away by the car. I was expecting I'm buying a $17,000 car. By the way, it was listed for like 25 grand. So this guy took $8,000 off his price to sell it to me for 17 grand, drove all the way up to me. He was like in Southern Oregon. I just was expecting that car to be a piece of shit, and it wasn't. It was really clean. There was some paint work I needed to do, which I was totally expecting, and the carbon roof needed a little love, which I was expecting. But there was a lot of other things that were on the PPI that were like noted as kind of like, that I'm like, wait, what are you even talking about? This is perfect. So I really appreciate the shop I use for the PPI. I'll go see if I can find them and give them a little shout out. But yeah, they said they noted everything wrong with that car, and the stuff they noted wrong I didn't even care. It was perfect. I owned that car. I put it like a lip kit on it, exhaust, lowered it down a little bit, made it look nice. Ultimately, I ended up selling that car for about $26,000 to $27,000. That was a 9 to 10 grand flip, and I think I owned that car for maybe 4 or 5 months. That was a banger. Cars like that, it's not easy to find those, and if you do find a car for that cheap, there's normally a reason why, but this one was solid. What did I get after that? Oh, that's right. We had a 340 that at the dealership I worked at wasn't doing so hot. We had bought it from an auction. It like needed paint and body work on every single panel. There was check engine lights on it. It drove weird. It looked like there had been like a bump on the back rear wheel. And so again, I took that car for PPI. I was like, maybe I just buy that, flip it. I did some work to it. PPI looked pretty clean. There was a couple things they noted. I fixed everything. I did all the body work on it. Wasn't my style of 340. Like, I didn't want to put any more money into it after losing my ass in the last one. It was just a nice daily. I ended up selling that for $28,500, and I bought it for $18,000. And right there, you're probably like, whoa, what do you mean? You made more than the M3? Well, I didn't, because I had to do so much body work to it. I got a new front bumper, new rear bumper, new grills, painted the doors. I got new wheels for it, new tires for it, new brakes for it, oil change. I did like everything to that car. I got like an intake on it and stuff like that. So I really didn't make much on that car. I maybe made like 3 grand or so, which 3 grand, that's great. nothing to complain there, but it wasn't a killing. What did I get after that? I got like a little M240i for my fiance. We bought that for like 35. She had it for, I think, somewhere between 7 to 8 months. And then we sold it for 35. I just was scared the market was coming down a little bit, which actually it held pretty strong, so I didn't need to sell that car. But then my M2, what was it, Toronto Red? I was on Facebook Marketplace, again, like I always am, and stumbled across a listing for a dealership in Arizona. And the only thing that caught my eye was I saw it had front mount intakes on the listing. And as most of you know, you can't really, those cars get really expensive to mod right away, just due to you have to send the ECU out, and et cetera, et cetera. There's a lot of things that go with that. And I figured if the guy has front mount intakes, he probably put some other money into it. So I clicked it, looked at the listing. It was full bolt on. ECU was already unlocked. All I had to do was get it retuned. Already had catless downpipes into, it was perfect. It's a good looking car. They wanted like 65 for it was their listing, like 64,990, and I think I ended up picking that car up for like 63 and then shipping it here, so it was like 63.8 all said and done. I owned that car. I think that was one of the shortest cars I've owned, and that was just probably 4 to 6 months. I sold that because I got news that the 25s were coming out, and they were coming out some really cool colors, and so I got scared that when those cars come out, the value of mine will go down. And again, not the case. If you go look now, you can go get a 23 M2 with the same bolt-ons, the same miles for probably 65. The year of the M2 really doesn't justify the price unless it's a 25 right now. I mean, the 25s are probably low 70s, but it really didn't affect the 23s all that much. So that's another car I probably could have held on to and didn't need to jump too quickly. I didn't put too much money into that car, so I maybe made $4 grand on it in total. What did I get after the M2? This was a big winner. After the M2, I got a Astoro Blue Astoro Blue, wow, totally blanked there, F30 340. That was a really cool car. It's manual, track package, and I found this car because this customer actually came into our dealership asking if we wanted to buy the car. One of my coworkers worked with him, and my manager at the time was like, no, it's not normally something we're looking to buy, and they couldn't meet on price for the car, and I wasn't working that day. Otherwise, I totally would have maybe stepped in and helped there. But so I actually called the guy a couple days later because I saw his listing online. I always like 340s. 340s are amazing cars. It's something that I will always consider owning. And I called him and I was like, hey man, actually, I would be willing to buy this car from you personally. And he gave me the same number that he gave to the dealership, and I was willing to personally take that risk. Our dealership at the time wasn't. So I did take that risk, and I bought the car for $24,500. That car, if anyone knows that chassis very well, a Astoro Blue rear-wheel drive manual with track package, I would say find me another one. You won't, point blank period. I think I had like 50,000 miles on it when I bought it, and I put BC coilovers on it, Ray Graham light, full paint matched aero kit, and it looks awesome. It looks so good. I ended up selling that to one of my buddies, I think for 32. So I put quite a bit of money into that car with the coilovers, the wheels, and the aero kit. But I bought that car very well. So I did make some money on that. I think in total I maybe made like $3 grand. Again, could be off. I don't remember what I paid for the wheels and the suspension and to install all of that. I really don't know. But 32 is a very fair price for that car. I think that car still sells for 32. Again, another car I didn't really need to sell, but I saw a good amount of profit in the car, and that's just me. If I see profit in my car and I drove it for free, why would I not sell it? After the 340, this is my most recent sell that all of you, if there's new followers on the page, you're following me because of this car, was the E92 M3. This was the black with the custom houndstooth Recaro interior on the BBS E88s. And this car was a Facebook find. I was scrolling at night, bored. I think I'd sold the 340 and was kind of just looking for a new fun car. And I remember this night I'm laying next to my fiance, and I had to have just typed in E92 M3 and just hit every single one that I saw on there just at a crazy lowball. And this guy responds to me, Garrett responds to me within 5 minutes, and he basically said, come up $1,000 and you have a deal. We met, I think, right in the middle. I think my offer was like 38K. He was at 40. The car was listed for 45, and I took it for like 39. That car was from LA, so I had to pay like $500 to get it up here, something like that. That car was sick. I love that car. A lot of other people loved that car. The biggest thing with it was the miles. It was at like 110 or something like that when I sold it, somewhere around there. And I'm trying to buy a house soon. I don't want a car that could potentially in the future or near future give me some big mechanical bills. That car was dialed. Like at 100,000 miles, there was like a $40,000 receipt for that car. So I shouldn't be too scared about that, but just me being me, again, if I see money in something and I can get out of it, why not? And I think that that kind of leads into my final statement here. And I sold that car for like 41.5 or 42, somewhere in there. It kind of leads into my closing statement of for me, the reason why I buy and sell so many cars is because I don't want to be the guy with negative equity. I don't want to be the guy that loses on a car deal. I don't want to, if there's profit, if I got to drive the car for free, that's a win. If I got to drive the car and make a couple $1,000, what are we talking about? Why would I not take advantage of that? Again, most people are buying cars and losing thousands of dollars. So that hopefully answers the question of why are you in and out of your car so much? And it's because I don't want to lose money on them. I buy them cheap or at a good deal, and I sell them for a fair deal. Or someone realized that the car is rare and you're not gonna find it again, so I sell it at a higher price because it's something that they can't find. And that is still considered a fair deal to me. What you make on a car doesn't change the deal in any way. It's what the car sells for. Yeah, that's that. I kind of want to talk about a couple other things too and some other questions, but for the majority, that's it. Those are the cars I've owned. That's what I bought and sold them for. Man, the 340 sucked. The cream one. The cream 340 sucked. I lost so much money on that, but it was nice to have a nice bounce back with the E92 right after it. It made me about 10 grand, so that felt pretty good. And there's some cool cars in there, but. So some other talking points were some questions that you guys had sent in to get my opinion on or whatever. One of them is, if there's any car you own that you miss. Yes, of course I miss cars. The ones off the top of my head, my built 340, my F80 M3, all the ones I've mentioned in the video, besides the silver 340, don't really miss that car. I don't miss my silver 335 I had. Yeah, I kind of miss them all. It's just the name of the game. But yeah, that's that. How and with what methods, with buying cars? That's a good one. I think I kind of explained it. Number one is Facebook Marketplace, man. If you are the first one to message someone and you know how to talk to someone about a car deal, that's the best way to get a deal. And I guess what I mean by that is if someone's asking a crazy high price for their car, don't be scared to message them. Send them examples, inform them, hey, this is why your car isn't worth this much, and go from there. The amount of times that I've messaged someone where I think their price is crazy high and came to a good deal in my eyes is a lot. My two prime examples are my E92s. So E92 M3 that I bought for like a $10,000 profit, I think I was listing it for like 25 grand. Nobody thinks that you're gonna get $8,000 off a $25,000 car. That's just unrealistic, but he did it. The E92 M3, the fully built one I got from Garrett. Garrett was listing it for like 45 grand. I don't think that's realistic. I got it for 39. That's 6 grand of movement. People will sell things if they're either informed on why it's overpriced, or maybe it's been online for a long time and they're ready to let it go. So that's really it. Facebook Marketplace is how I buy most of my cars, and just being informed of the market. You can't go out there and throw your money out on the line without being informed of the market. And to be fair, I have some background in the market, which is one, I buy a shit ton of cars, and two, I work at a dealership. So I see cars like this all day long. I know what they go for. I know what they sell for. I know what trade-in values are for them. And I just know that in my head. I just do. You could tell me any BMW and I could tell you what it goes for without plugging anything into my phone. KBB, don't use it. Use markets. Go on Facebook, see what they're all selling for. Then that's how you know you have an idea of what that car's worth. What other questions? Do you need connections to make profit? No, that ties into my last one. You don't need connections for Facebook Marketplace. The only cars that helped me out with a connection is working at the dealership, and that would have been my 340, the silver one that we got, kind of like a wholesale car, and then I fixed it up and sold it, and the F80 M3 I bought, which we got on trade, and I got a good deal on that. They gave me cost on trade or whatever. Those are two cars that you could say I got helped out pretty well on. But to be fair, besides the trade-in, if you wanted to go find a clapped out 340 that ran and drove perfect, you could do that at on Marketplace, they're all over the place. Yeah, I wouldn't buy a salvage out of a rebuilt car personally, because I don't know the markets on those as well. I know that they're posted all over the place, but man, those guys ask way too much money for those cars. And that's about all I have for the video, I think. Oh, wait, nope, we got one more. One just came in. What do I recommend for a good like starter build platform for BMWs? 340, 240, 340, anything with a B58 Gen 1. Don't get a Gen 2 B58. If you get an M340, just, ugh. I think they just look so dumb. You can get like a 340 with 60, 70,000 miles on it, M Sport for like 26 to 28 grand right now. You're not gonna find a better car in BMW terms. Old heads will say 335s, and that's where I say that you just love your car broken down in the garage. Those cars suck for reliability wise. Yes, you can get them cheaper, but you will pay more in the long term for maintenance. Those cars suck unless they're fully built and have gotten everything replaced, which again, that would ruin the point of the best cars. I think that costs way too much money to do. So a 340 would be my answer on that, like a 2016 340 with like 60 to 70,000 miles, clean title, whatever packages you care for, don't care for. If you want to get really cheap, you can get it for like 20 grand, get a non-M Sport one, put some M Sport bumpers on it, M Sport steering wheel, call it a day. But yeah, that is, I think that's everything I have to talk about in the video. Hopefully everything translates well over video and gets cut properly and everything makes sense. If you have any questions about anything I've talked about, feel free to put it in the comments or message me on Instagram and I'll address whatever I've talked about. But I think that's everything. That wraps everything up. I think that should be a decent video for you guys. If not, again, seriously, please just dislike the video. I'm not gonna be like the other guys say, like the video, comment, subscribe. If you don't like it, dislike it. I won't do it again. But if you did like it, you could like it if you want. I don't care. Like it, if you like it. We'll talk to you guys later. And hopefully see you every 2 weeks. That's gonna be the goal. Every 2 weeks. If you guys can help stay on that too, ask what the next video is, and I'll start preparing a little better. But till then, see ya.